has already been passed and assented by the president, the debate around the bill continues to rise in the country. As this continues, the Azimio coalition is expected to hold a meeting tomorrow at Kamkunji to oppose the same finance bill. Ruth Wanjiru for KU TV.
Assembly's press statement on the finance bill, corruption in the Kenya Kwanza administration, and the Moses Kuria's impunity. Kenyans from all the sectors of our nation, having rejected the finance bill, 93% of Kenyans rejected the finance bill, have watched as President Ruto intimidated the National Assembly to pass the draconian finance bill 2023. And this morning, as you know, he has assented it to law. A while ago, which is 2 months ago, the Senate of Kenya slashed the funds for the county governments from 408 billion to 385 billion. That is 23 billion less going to the county governments. Parliament has confirmed, both houses have confirmed that they do not represent the people of Kenya, but the presidency. Parliament no longer oversights the executive branch, nor does it pass legislation to facilitate the interests of the people of Kenya, but the interests of the presidency. Parliament has generally refused to do its oversight work. Reports of endemic corruption in the ministries, departments, and agencies of the National Executive are now a daily report. The wastage we have witnessed by the national government officials at a time when county governments were crippled confirmed to us that Parliament is no longer an institution for securing the interests of Kenyans. The few members of Parliament who care have become too few to make a difference, as we saw during the voting. It is very evident that a very large number of Azimio members of Parliament and those who are called independent MPs have decided to side with the agenda by the presidency to sabotage the economy and push the people of Kenya into suffering. This is a government that has taken food out of our children's mouths to finance corruption and wastage. Because the executive and Parliament have declared a war on the people, we have been forced to act as agents of necessity. We shall therefore commence a program of taking back our country from Saba 2023. Until we get in Kenya a parliament that works to prevent and end the suffering of the people of Kenya. In particular, we shall call and coordinate actions that render all the MPs jobless until the day they declare that they shall be representing the people of Kenya, oversight the executive, and make legislations to secure the interests of the people of Kenya. Kenya Bora Tuitakayo calls on all Kenyans to unite in demanding as follows. A, the overtaxation bill, that's how we call the finance bill. We call it the overtaxation bill, which is now a law, as signed and assented to law by President Ruto this morning. The overtaxation bill, according to the president, which was necessary to increase taxes in order to reduce borrowing. But we have seen that in the cooking oil and imported commodities scandal, 2 individuals, 2 ministers, led to the country losing more than 10 billion in one corruption transaction. So it is not true that Ruto is increasing taxes so that we can reduce borrowing. He is increasing taxes so that the stealing can be increased. We have to be very clear about the intentions of this administration. The Kenyan problem has never been lack of taxes to run the government and to deliver services. It has always been a problem of the wanton stealing of nearly 700 billion annually through the budgeted corruption. Mr. Moses Kuria and Mr. Mithika Lenturi must both be investigated by an independent body in order for Kenya to recover all the revenue that may have been lost through this scandal and haste. And we are saying, as Kenya Bora, that these two gentlemen cannot be investigated while they are in office.
Yeah.
So, you can see that we are not asking Ruto to sack them. We are not even asking them to resign, because Kenya Bora is going to take actions that will evict those two gentlemen from office until all the money is recovered. We are taking our country back, and we are not asking Ruto to do anything. It is up to him. B, the attack on the media by Moses Kuria is an attack on a whole pillar of our democracy.
Yeah.
If it is late to stand, no media house will do an expose on corruption.
Yeah.
We shall stand for media freedom and independence for the sake of our democracy and good governance, not for the media's sake. In Kenya, we want to restate, no one can attack the media and escape the wrath of the people of Kenya.
Yes.
We are not Uganda. C, Kenya Bora Twitakayo calls on all Kenyans to come out and reject the finance law in total. That finance law is aimed at destroying our economy and to impoverish our families, businesses, institutions, in order to give the government more money to steal and plunder. We have listed these few demands regarding the law amongst the 21 policy decisions we want removed from the finance law. The first thing that we want removed from the finance law is that we are demanding that the VAT on fuel products be reduced to the 8% that is currently in force. And that we are asking that all the other taxes on fuel be reduced and removed so that a liter of petrol will cost not more than 120 shillings in Kenya. We are saying that fuel costs impact on every aspect of the economy, as President Ruto himself and his UDA lieutenants explained during the campaign period. Yeah. Ruto actually told us that there are 8 taxes in the fuel cost that must be removed so that we can be able to sell fuel at the cost of our neighbors like Uganda, Ethiopia, and everybody else. And he has not only ignored that declaration, but he has actually increased the taxes to 16% VAT. The second thing that we want completely removed is the 1.5% housing tax. Yeah. It must be scrapped in total because it is not only unconstitutional and illegal, but it's actually a scheme to steal money from the people of Kenya. It must be removed in total.
Yes.
Number 3, the increased taxes on airtime, mobile money transfer expenses, and all transactional costs in the law must be removed if we are going to facilitate businesses in Kenya. Yes. Number 4, taxation of insurance payments must be scrapped in total because that's not a revenue. We cannot tax people for insurance premiums that are paid for damages. That's not a revenue. We can't allow that to stand. The fifth thing we are saying is that we want the budget cut from the current 3.7 trillion to a maximum of 2.99 trillion. This will remove all the budgeted corruption in the budget. For example, the 11.2 billion UPI identification project, which we are already in court, saying that that project must be stopped. So we can show you more than 700 billion worth of budgeted corruption in that budget. And we are saying that all that budgeted corruption must be removed,
Yes.
and the budget reduced to 3 trillion, 2.99 trillion. We are saying, number 6, that a forensic audit of all public debt must be carried out by August 15th, 2023, to ascertain that we are not paying and borrowing to enrich individuals who are using their positions in office at the expense of the country. It is now beyond doubt that we have actually been borrowing illegally, and that money has been going to private pockets over the last 10 years. And Parliament has refused to audit the public debt. Right now, it is possible that we have overpaid the people we owe money. And all this 1.7 trillion that Ruto wants to take from the budget to pay for alleged debt could actually be going to people's pockets, 1.7 trillion. And that is why he's taxing everybody to cripple us so that he can be able to pocket that money with his associates in preparations for the 2027 general election. We are saying that this is a defining moment for our country. And Kenya Bora Tutakayo therefore demands, as we conclude, that number 1, by Saba 2023, the cost of electricity in this country must be reduced and restored to what it was when President Ruto was sworn into office. When he was sworn into office last September, 1,000 shillings used to afford us 63 units of electricity. Yeah. Right now, 1,000 shillings gives you only 31 units. Mm-hmm. We are saying by Saba this year, the cost of electricity must be reduced and taken back to where it was when President Ruto was sworn into office in September. 63 units for 1,000 shillings. Note that one. It has actually doubled, they have doubled, more than doubled the cost of electricity. And this is something that is affecting every hustler, every Kenyan. Printers, publishers, welders, contractors, builders, teachers, schools, every institution, every household. Hospitals and everybody uses electricity. Doubling the cost of electricity is the worst of all the sabotages we have seen from the Kenya Kwanza administration. And we are saying, by Saba, if the cost of electricity does not go back to where it was in September last year, we are going to take actions from every household in this country to ensure that electricity cost comes down. The second thing that must come down by Saba is the cost of sugar per kilo. We want to inform Kenyans that the cost of sugar, which is all the sugar we have, is imported. The sugar arrives at the cost of 44 shillings per kilo, whether it's from Brazil, from Sudan, or wherever it is. These people increased the cost 5 times to 207 shillings from 40 shillings. We are saying that from Saba, if a kilo of sugar is not going to be 90 shillings, which is twice the cost it arrives at the port with, if the cost of sugar is not going to be 90 per kilo, then Kenya Bora is going to mobilize Kenyans to take actions that will reduce that cost of sugar to 90 shillings per kilo and 179 shillings for every 2 kilos of sugar. Not 413 as it is right now.
Yes.
And we have shown you where the corruption is happening. And we are told that President Museveni is a major beneficiary with President Ruto in that scam of stealing billions per month from Kenyans. The final thing that we want done by Saba is that all unga and a select number of food items, including bread, be zero rated to enable Kenyans to afford food and have food in their stomachs and tables. You cannot steal and take away food from the mouths of our children while we watch and clap for you. We finally remind President Ruto that Kenya is a republic and not a monarchy. President Ruto must act according to our constitution and in response to the will of the people of Kenya to avoid a confrontation that he will surely be the loser. We remind him that President Kibaki, who was elected with a 62% mandate, did not and never governed Kenya using intimidation and the use of force. With a 50.04 mandate which President Ruto got in the elections that are contested, still contested, President Ruto must not try to rule in disregard of the Constitution of Kenya and the will of the people of Kenya as outlined in Article 73(1)(b), which states as follows: authority assigned to a state officer vests in the state officer the responsibility to serve and not the power to rule them. If he's going to try to rule this country, which is a violation of Article 73, then the people of Kenya will have no choice but to bring him back to order, which is to tell him that Article 73 only allows him to use the authority of that office to serve the people and not to rule us, as he's trying to do currently, the way we have seen him threatening members of parliament as if they represent him and not the people of Kenya. So those are the statements we wanted to make today. The first thing that I would like is for Honorable Reuben Kigame to make a comment, including why we are not doing the press conference at Freedom Corner, where we were supposed to do it, and then the rest of my colleagues can be able to field the questions. Reuben, let me push the mic near you. Go on.
Asante sana kwa kuja kusikiza lalama zetu. Naomba nizungumze kwa lugha ya Kiswahili. Tulitaka sana kufanya press conference hii pale Freedom Corner kwa sababu za kihistoria na kwa sababu ya ile inspiration ambayo tunapata kutoka kwa Freedom Corner, ambapo wapigania uhuru na hasa akina mama wa freedom fighters wetu waliteswa na kuumizwa. Ilibidi mpaka watoe nguo kulalama jinsi ambavyo wana wao walikuwa detained. Na pale mahali tulitaka kufanyia press conference pale, tukapata kwamba pamewekwa ua, fence imezingirwa pale. Tunaambiwa kwamba wanafanya maendeleo, wanafanya development. Sijui ruhusa waliitoa wapi, sijui wanafanya nini huko, na hofu yetu ni kwamba wanaweza kuharibu ile kumbukumbu ya historia ya Freedom Corner. Na kama Kenya Bora Tuitakayo Assemblies, tunasema kwamba tuko tayari kuunda kamati ya kuchunguza kinachoendelea pale Freedom Corner mpaka tukawekewa ua kwamba si maeneo tena ya kumbukumbu la umma wa ile liberation yetu. Pia tunataka kusema kwamba hatutaki maendeleo yoyote ambayo yatadhulumu mwananchi ama kumpora mwananchi kupitia zile tenda na mipango ya kuwaibia wananchi. Nimalizie kwa kusema kwamba tumekusanyika hapa kwa sababu ya kupinga kabisa mwelekeo wa serikali hii, na hasa bunge na wanabunge walio huko. Wanabunge wamekuwa ni kero, wamekuwa ni watu wasaliti kwa wananchi ambao waliwachagua. Wabunge wamekuwa ni kama ile tunaita appendage, ni kama wako pale kutimiza matakwa ya executive viongozi na sio wananchi tena. Na tunasema kwamba ikiwa wataendelea hivyo, wasipogeuka, basi itabidi sana kama Kenya bora tuitakayo, tuvunje bunge, tumalize hilo jina bunge kwa sababu hatunalo. Na pili, tutaenda kwa wananchi, tutazungumza na wananchi wawatimue kwa sababu hawana maana yoyote kwa mwananchi.
Kabisa.
Ikiwa bunge linaweza, wabunge wanaweza kupitisha sheria kupitia vitisho vya rais, vitisho vya executive, basi hawawasilishi wananchi, wanawasilisha executive. Pili, tunasema hivi, ile budget iliyopitishwa ni budget ambayo imepitishwa pasipo ruhusa ya mwananchi, kwa sababu 93% ya wananchi hawaitaki. Sasa kama wananchi hawataki hiyo budget kwa sababu inawafinyilia na kuwakandamiza, basi itakuwaje sasa bunge pamoja na rais na wenzake wanapitisha ile budget kimabavu? Tunasema isipogeuzwa, mambo yasiporekebishwa pale kufikia tarehe 7 mwezi wa 7, Saba Day, basi tutachukua mamlaka kama wananchi kuregesha ile bei ya bidhaa chini, kuregesha uongozi kwa wananchi, kwa sababu katiba yetu katika ibara ya kwanza inasema kwamba wananchi ndio wana mamlaka, ndio waajiri wa hawa watu. Na mwisho nasema kwamba kama Wakenya hatutaruhusu nchi yetu ikose maadili na kuporwa na kufanywa nchi ni kama den of robbers. Tutaichukua back kwa sababu we deserve better. Tunataka uongozi wa kuwajibika, uongozi wa maadili, uongozi ambao unamjali mtu. Ndio sababu tunasema tunataka uongozi wa utu. Na tunataka pia kudefend ugatuzi, kwa sababu ikiwa Senate itapunguza zile hela zinaenda kwa counties na asilimia kubwa sana na kureduce alafu kupitisha, ni kusema kwamba hawadefend ule ugatuzi. Na mwisho nataka tu kusisitiza kwamba wananchi wanaumia. Nimetembea katika mashirika tofauti tofauti, kuna wananchi hawajalipwa miezi 6, miezi 5. Kuna wananchi ambao hawajui chakula kinapatikana namna gani. Kuna wananchi hawajui watoto wataenda shule vipi. Ila hapa tunajishughulisha na ujenzi wa nyumba, tunajishughulisha na mambo ya taxes, na tumeongeza bei ya mafuta, tumeongeza bei mpaka ya stima. Nasema kwamba kama wananchi tumechoka na hatuko hapa kuwasilisha mrengo wowote. Sisi hatuwasilishi Azimio, hatuwasilishi Kenya Kwanza, sisi tuko hapa kuwasilisha mwananchi. Na sisi ni sauti ya mwananchi. Sisi tunazungumza kwa niaba ya Wakenya wengi ambao wamechoka. Kwa hivyo tunasema kwamba hatutaki mwelekeo wa nchi yetu unakokwenda. Tunataka mwanzo mpya. Asante.
Thank you very much. On what we are planning to do on Saba. On Saba, we are mobilizing all the 47 counties, including Kenyans in the diaspora.
48.
So 48 counties, as we call them. Yeah. We are not organizing for protests because we are no longer protesting against this government. We are taking our country back.
Yes.
And one of the things that we have said is that we are going to close down Parliament.
Yes.
until they go back to their constituencies and say that we are going back to parliament to represent you.
Yes.
This has happened in very many African countries. You can research, at least 6 that I know. When parliament refuses to perform its 3 roles, the people of Kenya in Article 1 of the Constitution have the power to dissolve that parliament until that parliament assures Kenyans that they are going to come back to represent Kenyans. So we are not going to protest against anybody. We are not planning protests. We are planning to close down institutions until, and we are going to start with parliament, we will move on to the other institutions.
Yes.
We are going to close down all commissions and independent offices until they say that they are going to perform the roles that are in the Constitution. We are starting with parliament because the failure and the betrayal by members of parliament is the reason dictatorship and the theft is happening in this country.
Yes.
So we are starting with that. How we are going to do that, you will be seeing the actions. This is our country. We are the owners of this country.
Yes.
So the second thing is regarding President Ruto's, lame and misinformed ideas about how jobs are created. I am requesting the president now to go and have a meeting with the Kenya Manufacturers Association, because in 2019, they published a paper on how to expand manufacturing and create jobs.
Yeah.
That paper is available. I was a participant in the policy review, and we know how jobs are created. If you want to create jobs in Kenya, Mr. President, you do 4 things. Number 1, you reduce taxes.
Yes. Not increase.
Particularly, you reduce the prices of oil, petrol, diesel, and energy, including electricity. Once you do that, you, number 2, reduce the cost of finance, interest rates. That's the second thing that you do. The third thing that you do is you close down on all loopholes of corruption, so that all the money goes to spur what we call the supply side of the economy. This president is talking about the demand side of the economy, and we are saying that go to the supply side of the economy so that the private sector can create jobs.
Yeah.
The fourth and last thing that is important, there are many things, there are 21 of them, but the 4 most important, I'm talking about the 4th, is that close down all the debt that we pay.
Yes.
Because if we remove what we call odious debt, then this country will be saving 1.2 trillion, which is 4 times what goes to the county governments.
Yeah.
And once you put that money in the economy, it is going to create jobs. What the president is creating is one new loophole for stealing money. It's not creating jobs. That is not how jobs are created. Jobs are created when you enable the private sector to create jobs by reducing the cost of energy, the cost of fuel, tax. Once you reduce that, the private sector is able, and we saw that during Kibaki, then you are able to see everybody setting up business, expanding agriculture, going to tourism, and expanding the service sector. So we want to be very clear that all that President Ruto is saying is to justify the creation of an illegal entity called the Housing Fund, which does not exist in law, and Wakili will be speaking to some of these things. Nobody has told this country where that money is going to be located.
Yeah.
Where is the policy on how the building is going to be done? It's not in the budget. So if this money is not in the budget, how is he going to create the jobs? And Kwame Owino of Institute of Economic Affairs asked the PS for housing. The country has 13 million houses. How many jobs have they created? For Ruto to tell us that he's going to create jobs with 1.5% housing tax, which has metamorphosed into a tax when it was a levy, It is not going to be refunded, and the ceiling of 2,500 has been removed. So there are some people who are going to give government as much as 25,000 shillings of their salary, those who are running above 400,000, to a fund whose managers are not known, that does not have a legal framework. Forget about the red herring called creating jobs. Ruto is the massive killer of jobs by increasing the cost of fuel and energy. So that is what we have said in our statement. Focus on what creates jobs. So as in economic policy, what Ruto is talking about is foreign. He doesn't have an understanding how the economy is managed. And the likes of David Indi and Professor Njuguna at Treasury should give him crash courses on how jobs are created in an economy. Because he's speaking things from voodoo. That's what we call voodoo. That is voodoo economics. Yeah. We are asking him to come and manage the economy according to what is known to be creating jobs. Thank you very much. This country is not Ruto's country. No. He doesn't run the country according to his wishes. He runs the country according to the Constitution. We don't want to disclose what Kenya Kwanza has planned. But we want to tell you this, and let us inform Kenyans that President Ruto is not going to tax Kenyans as he wishes.
No, we will not let it.
That finance law, we were waiting for him to sign it to law. You are going to see when we go to court what the courts are going to declare about the finance law, the Finance Act 2023. We have already mobilized the resources, the lawyers, and the support across the country. Like BBI took down President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila, we are telling Ruto that this finance law that you signed this morning is going to show you that you cannot rule Kenya by force. Yes. You must follow the Constitution. But I'm going to ask my colleagues, starting with Wakili and then Ruben, and the others can be able to comment on what we are going to do, both in court and outside court, including closing down Parliament, until President Ruto negotiates with the people of Kenya to allow him on what he can tax or what he cannot tax. Ruben, allow me for Rebecca to start, and then I come to you.
No, I want it to go to them after her.
Okay, after her.
Because I've spoken already.
All right.
Thank you. I think, first of all, we need to remind ourselves, and I want to remind our President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, that our freedom fighters did not fight for a company. The Republic of Kenya is a heritage of one generation to the other. Every leader, whosoever calls himself leader, whether you're a senator, whether you're a governor, woman rep, whether you're a member of parliament, member of county assembly, it is your sole responsibility, not even a request, to be able to serve this country as it ought to be. So to answer you what Kenya Bora Twitakayo, we as Article 1 of the Constitution says, we the people have the sovereign power to which we have delegated these elected democratically members of parliament. We have delegated our power to them. But the Finance Act is one critical moment that showed us that actually we do not have representatives. As Honorable Kigame has said, they have betrayed us. Others did not even come in to make the decisions that they were supposed to make with us. And so we are going, and this is not, it's not a lame duck. We are going to take our power back. Kenyans, whether you're young, you're old, within or without this border, as Kenya Bora Twitakayo, we are standing here for the citizens of this country. We are ready to fire. We employed them. We are ready to fire them as soon as yesterday, and we are not negotiating that. On the housing levy, you spoke about being a source of employment. You see, no young person talks about kazi mtaani, kazi ya mjengo is not gainful employment for a Kenyan inside and outside this country. It has become the song of all these politicians. I do not understand why projects are synonymous to gainful employment. Any sane president, to which we believe Samoei Ruto is one of them, and the politicians we have in this country, and every other leader who calls himself leader, they have a responsibility to come up with proper policies, proper structures, and as Mutumishi here has spoken about, we already have papers, we already have recommendations of what kind of employment we are looking at. Right now, Kenya is a Leviticus country. It is hosting nationalities, and we speak without any fear. It is hosting Rwandese, it is hosting Burundians, it is hosting Ugandans. But what is happening to our Kenyans? Kenyans are going out there, not for gainful employment, it is called forced migration. And here we can sit and we have the audacity to talk about housing levy, providing employment. We need to have tiers of employment in the country, and that can only come from a sober government that knows what it's doing. The structures must be put in there, but you cannot talk about kazi mtaani as employment. You cannot talk about kazi ya mjengo as employment, please. Kenyans are woke. It is also very clear as the media you have seen what the president has done. He's shuttling diplomacy out there and projecting Kenya as epitome of what Africa needs to look like, of what development, of what the current development needs to look like in the world. But what is happening back home? We are rotting right here. So we are telling him and his government, Dr. Samoei Ruto, that this is the time for resilience is over. We have been resilient enough. Other governments have been resilient enough. We are ready to rise, and we have risen. It's either you abide by what you brought people to, the manifesto. The manifesto. And it's also very clear. We want to tell him, those who voted for you, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, those who voted for you and those that did not vote for you are on the same page. You have made them to be on the same page. You cannot take food from Mama Mboga. You take food from every single person who's going out there to earn a living in the name of making our country proud. That is not the way. So we are putting him on notice. Thank you
very much.
As a journalist, I worked with the Standard and Kenya Times, and so the impact of how this government is behaving to the media, I feel it from the side of media, and at the same time as a citizen. The attack on the media is the attack on citizens of Kenya right away. Coming from mashinani, very little is going on in terms of business. So I don't know where this government is going to get money. Taxation won't happen when there's no free will. We have been here before during Moi's time. When people find ways of circumventing taxation, actually tax experts are the ones who go to businesses and tell them, this is how you can circumvent taxation, because there's no free will. Secondly, the impact of COVID, and COVID is not yet gone. Up to date, people are still suffering that impact. A whole Intercontinental and Hilton hotels are closed, and many other businesses, including private schools, that were thriving. And so if you are looking at the population of Kenya and thinking this population can give me money, you are cheating yourself. Agriculture, manufacturing, education, all those places are struggling. Government cannot even pay grants that goes to school, capitation. They can't afford. Schools are suffering. Schools are not going for games, for music, because they cannot ferry their students there. The petrol is too much. What would they prefer? To go for music festivals or to feed their students who up to now, even the suppliers have not been paid? So taxation, where will they get money from? And more so, people will not only resist out of luck, but now they will resist purposely, even those who are going to make money, as defiant. People will defy this regime. Even those who voted for them have already shown defiance. They have even to DCI for whatever reasons. People have made statements. And therefore, they should not expect taxation. And if Kenyans want to be shown how not to pay tax, please come over and we will show you how not to pay tax. Yes. I'm encouraging Kenyans not to pay taxes because they are not beneficial to Kenyans, me included.
It's a private company.
And if you are not working, if there's no work, if there's no employment, if there's no production, where will this government get money? And they are overborrowing locally. Domestic borrowing is very high in this budget, and that means they will go to banks. And banks are happy that the government is a one single borrower. Why struggle with the Ombok who is asking for 10,000 loan and so on? They will take all the money to government. What happens? As ordinary citizens will not get money to borrow, and they will increase the interest if you want to borrow. So I don't know who is advising this regime. This regime is closing itself out of business. And Kenyans should not be deluded that we have a Christian president. This man is evil, and everything you can see from this bill shows how evil he is and how evil parliament is. And I'm so sad that I have never enjoyed my life as a youth. At the university, we did not have fun. We were always running either from cell to prison or to the streets so that we can have a better Kenya. At my age and my gray beard, I'm still seated here protesting, and not only protesting this time, but asking this country to be shut down. Finally, Kenyans, wherever you are, you know where your members of parliament live, yes. Either in Nairobi or in the village. Put them under house arrest. Comes Saba, which is the liberation day for this country. Let us put our members of parliament under house arrest. My member of parliament, Gideon Ochanda, who was with me in the civil society, a governance expert, should consider himself under house arrest from 7th. And he should hear this directly because already we have had conversations with him, yes, about the betrayal him and his, evil-headed people are doing to this country.
A member of the steering committee of Kenya to Itakayo, but also National Treasurer of Kenya University Staff Union. I think I just want to use the president's word when he was campaigning. He did indicate that wajinga waliisha Kenya. And it was a very strong statement. But I think after winning, probably thought now, wajinga waliisha, lakini wakarudi. Because the essence of arguing that housing fund is going to create employment, I think even us now, including the media, we need to question the statement. Sure. You are about 9 here. You are 9 journalists here. How do you anticipate employment in the construction sector? Because there is a whole school of journalism in almost all our public universities now. Are you saying then that this employment is sectorial? It looks like the president and his advisors do not understand the employment ecosystem. Construction is just but a very minor section of the employment ecosystem. And the president is a botanist. I will want him to tell us, all the botany graduates, how are they going to get jobs in the construction sector? All the horticulturists, how are they going to get employment in the construction sector? All the food scientists, all the sciences, all the teachers, If you may recall, close to 80% of our teachers who have trained for the last 10 years are outside. They have not gotten employment. Are you saying then they are going to get employment now as teachers of teaching buildings? Or how are they going to create this job? So we need to ask the president hard questions. I think the issue why the president is using the fund as creating employment is just to incite the haves and the have-nots. You remember initially before election, it was the Hustler and the dynasty. But you now don't hear the dynasty because it no longer holds, because it's a dynasty. Now he wants the haves and have-nots to fight so as to give them room to steal the money. I can confidently say without contradiction that the housing scheme is a pyramid scheme, like Deki, like any other scheme. And after those 7 years, you will not hear of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just remain there.